Yes, sir. 2024 first episode of ThrowBLKs 2024. J5 in the building. Josh Pease.
We back.
What's going on?
What's good, man? This is overdue.
Yeah, very long overdue.
Yeah, we've been working on this one for at least 2 months.
Yeah,
maybe longer.
It got pushed back because Mark moved, and then holidays hit, and then all of that stuff happened. But we're doing it now, and it's. I mean, what better way to start off 2024 than with this album? It hit 20 years old last September, right? October.
Okay.
So now we're still within the window, so we're still good. But Mark, MC, what's going on, brother?
Have a hoodie on in the middle of January. Obviously, it's cold as shit out here. Not something that I signed up for. To be completely honest, it's not something I signed up for out here.
It's the valley, bro.
Yeah, it's just weather.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's been colder in Miami.
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Mark's touched like a 50 degree. It got to 40 degrees a couple of days ago, and I was like, "Yo, what are we doing out here?"
Hey, man, it's a part of the struggle.
Another part of the struggle. How you doing, MC? I mean, we're top of 2024. I know we've already had an episode of Blackprint, but how are you managing right now in this cold? You want to move back?
Outside of the cold, it hasn't made me want to move back. But outside of the cold, things have been well. A month in already, fastest month of all time.
Yeah.
It's felt good.
Good.
It's felt good. A little bit of not necessarily struggles, but a little bit of differences here and there that I'm still getting accustomed to, still getting used to, but still feel good.
You're living by yourself. It comes with the territory.
Growing pains.
It hasn't changed anything just yet. The scenery still looks the same. By the time that the next Blackprint comes, there'll be a rug in here, and that might help with some of the reverb. Hey. But that'll help.
We got a rug. Love to hear it.
Every episode, it's a new addition to the house. That's my favorite parts of seeing it now. But thanks to all the patrons and everyone who's been waiting for this episode. I really want to get our general thoughts. Obviously, we're talking about OutKast's, Andre 3000, Big Boy, Speakerboxxx, Love Below, double album, highest selling. What is it still? No, Eminem probably got that, but it's like one of the highest selling.
I think they beat Eminem out. I think this is the highest selling rap album ever. Because
it's like 13. It's like 13.1 right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it beat out Eminem at this point. I think last year that was the news article.
Oh, okay, yeah, which is. We'll get into that as we talk.
I mean, we could get into it. I think for me, this album, it's funny going back and listening to it. I just forgot how much this was a part of my life. Yeah, like I remember when this leaked. I remember having the leak before the official version came out. I remember buying the official version. Yeah, I think I was like in 7th or 8th grade, 2003. So yeah, 7th grade. Yeah. And yeah, no, I really love this album. Like, this is probably one of my favorite albums ever. Yeah. And it's both sides too. I like the Big Boy side, especially love the Andre 3000 side. I think he set the tempo or just the template for what a lot of artists replicated following him. You look at what Kanye did with 808s and Heartbreaks. You look at what Drake has kind of done throughout his career to a certain respect, and then even like the new guys like the Spino, Love for Rents, and the Jids, like. They all kind of have a vein of Andre in them, and just the way they talk about life and love and relationships. Right. So definitely think this is one of those albums that set the stage for it just opened Black man up. That's another thing that I really like about this album. Like, rappers especially, but Black men in general are just kind of looked at as like these braggadocious, testosterone driven men. Yeah. And this kind of showed the different side of that to a certain degree. So yeah, one of my favorite albums. Excited to dig into it. Very, very long, very dense. Yeah,
2 hours.
2 hours. So that's kind of my overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think doing this and doing research for it, I didn't realize how much OutKast was so important to like my upbringing and how I grew up too. I think that, and we'll talk about it too. Is like. I think the fact that they're not prevalent anymore and they're not together anymore makes you forget how important they were when they were here. Mm-hmm. And I think that the biggest thing about this episode is the appreciation, because I don't think I appreciated them as much as I should have when I were still doing it. And now listening to this and then going back and researching and listening to certain songs from their history, I'm like, fuck, this was the biggest duo in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In 2000.
And just some of the better rappers that we've ever had in this genre.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that gets glossed over just because they're not as active, or
right.
you know. But I also love that they're not as active. I think we need to allow our artists to retire.
Yeah.
Like you look at, and I think that's a music thing. I won't just say it's a hip hop thing, but you look at music and it's like no one ever retires.
Yeah.
No one ever just stops.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for Andre and Big Boy, Andre probably especially to just want to stop rapping.
Yeah.
I applaud it. And you know, he just dropped recently the Flute album this past year, and it's cool. I mean, I'm glad that he's being creative in the outlet that he appreciates.
Right.
But I wouldn't be mad if I never heard another rap from him.
That's fair. Me too. I feel the same way. And we'll talk about. There's lines on the album. There's things on the album that I took note of, and I was like, man, was this a sign? Was this something that like they were speaking of? But I want to go back all the way to the early '90s as we introduced the world to OutKast. 1992, Andre Benjamin, Antoine Patton meet at Lenox Mall in Atlanta, Georgia. You've been in Lenox Mall, Mark. You've been in Lenox Mall, Josh. Imagine how different it was back then in '92.
Yeah, definitely a lot different, but probably a lot the same too.
True, that is true. Probably just in terms of the fashion. I want to say back in 92, 93, OutKast, remember like they were wearing like windbreaker tracksuits.
Yeah.
I used to want a windbreaker tracksuit because of them.
Huh.
Because of the Southern Playalistic video when they had them shits on. I had my mom, I like begged her to get me a windbreaker tracksuit. She got me, it was like this teal and purple one and this black and gray one. She got me two of them. And those are my favorite fucking things to wear in the fucking world. And that was because of OutKast. It was because of Andre, because he was wearing them windbreakers.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a classic, iconic style.
Yeah.
Still kind of around to this day too. I feel like you still see that a little bit.
It's back around.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing about OutKast. Trendsetters in every era of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And when I mean trendsetter, I mean like doing it first.
Yes.
Like that's the real trendsetter, not just kind of riding the wave of fashion.
Right. They met at Lenox Mall, but they were already attending the same high school together, Tri-Cities High School. They initially wanted to be named Two Shades Deep. That name was taken. I've never even heard of a Two Shades Deep, but before that, I was trying to do research. I couldn't find anything on it. But they settled on
local.
They were probably were very local. They settled on OutKast, and they formed a creative partnership with producers Organized Noise and their other fellow classmates, Goody Mob, and they became the Dungeon Family. I don't think we talk about how influential the Dungeon Family is to the South and to hip hop in general either, just in terms of what they were talking about, providing a different lens to what we know now as trap or just like the street level stuff, but providing more of like an introspective and retrospective part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of that like region bias that hip hop just always kind of has towards the South. When I think about Dungeon Family, I think about just like, and I hate to say Parliament, but it's like they brought a different sound to hip hop that was very just different. It was elastic.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way to put it. The beats just felt like they were just coming from a different place, and just the way, you know, OutKast, Goody Mob, how they all rapped over them. Like you think of some of those classic hits that they all had as a group, or as a collective. It's like, damn, like this brought something new and refreshing.
Right.
Like it was never anything that was just like, oh, someone did this already. Like one of my favorite songs is was it I-85?
I-85, yeah.
I love that record. And it's like that's just a record that's like it's just timeless.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, you know, like that's overlooked in hip hop at this point. It's crazy to think about.
They gave us Watch Out for the Hook, of course, obviously. Cujo Goody, Cool Breeze, Big Gip, Sleepy Brown, CeeLo Green.
And it's funny, that's why I say like the Parliament kind of flavor. Yeah. It's like they were singing and like it was just very funky.
Multi-talented folks.
Yeah.
Multi-talented guys.
Shout out to Rico Wade, man. The whole collective, honestly. Like they tapped into a different sonic frequency that hip hop wasn't really experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of traveled. You see other people kind of pick it up in different ways. But they never rooted back to Dungeon Family, so I think that needs to be highlighted. And
then, I mean, we see, you know, possibly, I mean, could you say second, third most famous member of this family, Future? I mean, you know, still carrying the torch to this day. That's why I love when Future does stuff like Hendrix, because it kind of gives you that Dungeon Family Andre 3000-esque type of vibe. It's like this is truly, he's truly the child of that. Like he kind of gives you all sides of it and that pain from different sides. I think it's because that's why Andre is like such a big fan of him, because he's just like, that is what I wanted to create.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Future kind of being of that lineage shows in his music. You know what I think about when Gnarls Barkley formed.
Yeah.
And like that being a lineage of Dungeon Family.
Crazy.
People don't really think about that. And then you think about like the Gray album with Jay, and it's like just all those little different branches of the tree,
right? That
people probably don't think about. But it's like, man, that's really a part of like the whole collective, and that's hip hop. It's crazy, like I'm mad now that I'm thinking about it right now that like we don't kind of give them their flowers more. Like you think about Hip Hop 50 passing and
there was no Dungeon Family.
Look back, like that should have happened. Absolutely.
It's not the Grammys either, and it's like I think a lot of people look at OutKast as kind of like the Northern Star of that whole collective, but it's so many of them, and there's like so many. I mean, CeeLo Green himself. You know what I'm saying? Like that, he was like the biggest star next to OutKast at that point. That they tried to make Sleepy Brown work. I still like I Can't Wait.
Sleepy Brown, I think, tried to make Sleepy Brown work, but Sleepy Brown was, he was like the Nate Dogg of Dungeon Family.
Yeah, great producer.
Producer, great songwriter, great just vocalist. Always came through when it was time.
OutKast signed to L.A. Reid and Babyface's LaFace Records, becoming the first hip-hop act on the label. They did a remix for TLC, What About Your Friends? I don't think a lot of people remember that. That was one of the first songs, like mainstream-wise, that people had heard them on. And I was like, damn, they played that very, very infrequently in VA. But I always remember that, hearing that remix and being like, who the fuck are these guys? And it was really super cool stuff there. But in 1993, they released Players Ball, which ironically, when I was doing research, it hit #1 on the R&B charts.
That's crazy. I remember that being like, wasn't that like a Christmas song or like?
Yeah, it came on the holidays.
Yeah, it came out around the holidays, and that's crazy. It was on the R&B charts. It's probably just given that it was on LaFace, but it was a crazy. That was a great, like that being your first record out. It's like, damn,
so good.
Yeah,
yeah, like it was everywhere in the South. Southern playalistic, Cadillac, funky music. One of the, like, listen, go back and watch that video. It's like a mock Players Ball type video, and they had the windbreaker track suits on and everything. The vibe of that was like, you wanted to be in Atlanta at that time. Because if that's how they live in, this shit looks pretty fucking cool. And they kind of showed you at that point what Atlanta was like. I know that at that point, you had like the Ghost Town DJs. You had the My Boo video that came out around this time. You got to see like that part, but they were showing you the other side of Atlanta. And I thought that it was, again, something you had never seen before coming from these two guys.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's just super refreshing.
Yeah.
Like, I think just where you wasn't really thinking about the South as far as hip hop was concerned. And when you were, it was a certain type of sound.
Yeah.
And just what they came out with just felt like, oh shit, this is something new.
It was country, but it was like classy. Yeah. And that's what I when I went back and listened to some songs from Southern Playalistic, Cadillac Music, their first album. That's what I got from it. And
they were barring up. That's one thing. It's like they were lyricists. Like when you think about Southern music now and what people think of it, it's not the most lyrical driven.
Yeah. They
were telling stories, just trying to be the best rappers.
Southern Playalistic is considered by many, and I'm gonna continue to say this throughout this whole episode, because I think these dudes have more than one classic album. But this album is heavily considered to be a hip hop classic and one of the best Southern rap albums ever. It tackles social issues, juxtaposing them with the themes of pimps and gangsters. Southern Playalistic opened the window into the South in a way that no one had ever seen, kind of changing the trajectory of it, and OutKast is at the forefront of it. They quickly became one of the biggest duos in hip hop in general, to a point where when they won Best Duo Award at the 1995 Source Awards, the infamous 95 Source Awards, everyone remembers it for one thing, but people from the South remember it for another thing. They got on stage, they got booed.
Crazy.
They got booed, and Andre said the South got something to say. And I think you can hear people from Texas rappers saying it, Atlanta rappers saying it. Everyone mentions that moment as the point where it kind of changed and like the light switch went off for the South at that point, was when they were on that stage in New York. East Coast, West Coast niggas stabbing each other, fighting each other. Man. Like, and then he said, yo, we got something to say too. They was like, shut your dumb ass up.
I mean, it was just really it's funny because I'm trying to remember who they were up against for the award.
I mean, look.
I mean, it probably had to be like Dog Pound, Junior Mafia. Like,
I'm gonna look right now. 1995 Source Awards.
Oh wait, because they won Best New Artist, right?
I think it was duo or artist. Hold on, winners. Oh, it was new artists: Bone Thugs, Ill Al Scratch, and Smith and Wesson. And I mean,
they probably won that.
there was really only one group out there that.
But Bone was doing, Bone was having a moment.
Bone was there, but again, it was like, but it was just so contentious at that point because like, Rap Album of the Year, they were also nominated for that. Scarface, The Diary was nominated, and Illmatic was nominated that year, and Biggie, Ready to Die won the award.
That's crazy.
That like the nominees are Ready to Die, Illmatic, Southern Playlistic, and The Diary. They was already legendary at that point. They were nominated next to Big. Like, that's fucking unheard of. And I think that again, we don't talk about that shit enough with OutKast, yo. Like they're fucking.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like it's kind of just rewritten history.
Yeah.
Where like at the time it was like hitting and people felt it, but now we look back and it's like not the same acclaim.
Right.
And I wonder why, but I think it's because they're not the boisterous guys. They're not out there pumping their chests out.
Yeah.
They're not of the lineage of, like, you know, when you look at a lot of rap now, it's like you could see the lineage of it. And the lineage ends for them probably at Future right now.
Yeah.
And Future is out here probably proclaiming Dungeon Family. So it's like you don't have anyone to kind of carry that torch. But yeah, I wish more rappers kind of look back at them as a group too. Right. I think, you know, nowadays you kind of see people be like, oh, Andre is one of my influences. But it's like, no, this group was influential to you.
I want to get to that when we get to the album too, because that's like my main pet peeve with it in terms of the group, the duo aspect of it. But Southern Playlistic went platinum and they began to work on their second album where their sound would change drastically. ATLiens saw the group ditch their, you know, the aesthetic of the pimps and the gangsters, and it went into Afrofuturism, which is something that at that point no one had ever seen before. I mean, you look at the cover, it's like comic book inspired. You look at the CD. I remember seeing the CD to ATLiens. My stepdad bought it. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was like a drawing of like a naked woman.
Girl, on her knees.
Yeah, on her knees like this. And I was like, whoa. I was like,
hold on, give me that goddamn CD back. Hold on, what the hell is this?
And it was like my mom was like, don't let him see that CD. But again, they swapped out the tracksuits and the sneakers, and then they took out the cornrows. They were wearing afros at this point. They were wearing, like, Andre's clothes got weirder.
That's when he started wearing the turban too.
So we started wearing the turban.
And which was, it's funny, he tells a story about that. It's just like he just wanted something different. He just went to the beauty supply and was like, I'm about to just start wearing these turbans. Yeah.
And then he started growing his dreads out at this point too. Because like that was the period where he's just like the ugly face, as we all call it, when you're getting locks. But nobody really encapsulated this look this look and change than Andre 3000, who dove headfirst into it. I mean, like we said, different style of dress, but also his raps became more. And I won't even say like, because again, like the whole story between them two is that they would battle rap with each other. And then Big Boy said that he would help Andre write his raps, or he would write his raps. And then from that point, Andre kind of went into his own creative process at that point. And I think that where Big Boy kind of gave you, and he's kind of different on Speakerboxxx as well in terms of the flow. He gave you the ABC right straight up. Andre started going into different pockets and different flows and ATLiens. And that was where the album was, where it was like, oh, okay, these two guys are like divergent. And I think the best duos, I mean, look at Mobb Deep, look at other groups like that. They're better when they're like so different because you can tell who it is.
Yeah. No, and I think this is when OutKast became OutKast to me. I think this is when they really encapsulated the name. You know, this is without a doubt classic album.
Second
Elevators to Jazzy Bells to Wheels of Steel. They just had records on here that just stand the test of time. Yeah,
I mean, production went for less kind of, I don't want to say jazzy, but 70s smoky jazz bar to more like out of this world sonically, and that's a credit to Organized Noise. They evolved on this album, and again became one of the best production groups in the game still to this day. I put them up next to the Hitmen.
Yeah, I mean, no, they're up there, and I think it's crazy you just don't get that acclaim from them. But yeah, they're Hitman, fucking, I think about, you know, the guys that are around Death Row at the point. Like, there was just a lot of collectives, and they were, like, I would say the trinity of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lyrics became more insular. Andre talking about his religious upbringing. At this point, he had become sober. He stopped drinking. He stopped smoking at that point. And then they were both realizing they were getting old. Songs like 13th Floor, Growing Old. Again, touching on subjects that a lot of people didn't think the South would touch on. I mean, it wasn't about swingers and vogues. It was about, not drinking and meditating and shit like that. Like, I mean, I would say like the closest, and I think really, the reason why I think East Coast people fuck with them is because like their closest analog was probably De La Soul at that time.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And it's crazy that you even mentioned getting older because it's like they weren't far removed from high school, but it's just like they were just vibrating higher. I think they just were consciously aware of just like where they stood in the world and where they stood in music. And they just gave a different perspective. I think even to my earlier point about just what Andre provided with Love Below, it's like it showed you that black men weren't a monolith.
Right.
And like even if we were, hustling and survive, we still had these other thoughts that we need to get out.
Right. And again, this album does crazy. Nice, goes platinum again.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 1998, they come back, take 2 years off. They would take time off too. That's what I respect. They would take at least 1 to 2 years off between albums. LaFace gave them a lot of gravity to do what they wanted because, again, for their first rap act to be so successful, I think that's unheard of today. Like for a group to be that successful out the gate 2 times in a row, hit singles, all of that. And then they come out in 1998 with Aquemini, their third platinum album. I gotta say, I slept on Aquemini a little bit. I think I skipped straight to Stankonia. I never really listened to Aquemini a lot.
I don't know how you could sleep on Aquemini because that shit was everywhere when it dropped.
Yeah. I mean, Rosa Parks alone. Yeah,
everywhere. It was like they played it every 30 minutes on TV. Like it was just a moment, and then I don't know. Like that was the moment where I feel like the East Coast like kind of woke up to because you had like the art of storytelling. Where I think Slick Rick was on that version, and it was just like they were having their moment where like they were being embraced by hip hop.
And that video was crazy too. Mark, you remember the art of storytelling video back in the day?
Yeah, I remember the art of storytelling video. I remember the Skewed on the Barbie video. As Josh brings up New York City influence, obviously you had Raekwon on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Aquemini a lot. Personally have it over ATLians in my book, just based off how I guess you could kind of say a little bit it's a little bit more upset than annoyed, I think, in their case on the reception of how ATLians was taken from them in 1996 and how a lot of people listened to the album and it's kind of like in their eyes went over a lot of people's heads or it wasn't really as appreciated as much as they would have liked it. And you kind of heard that anger a lot on Aquemini. Even though they went back to experimenting and doing a lot of the classics and the music that they did, they really weren't very happy with the way that a lot of people accepted or thought of in 1998 change and just evolving sound and not sticking to their roots and their laurels in 1993 and sticking with the way that Southern Playalistic went.
Yeah, and again, they changed their style again. Mm-hmm. So from ATLians to this, Aquemini has so many influences from country to jazz to psychedelic. I mean, even gospel. There's even songs in there that kind of have that vibe on it. It's such a like every song is like a whiplash. Like you don't know where they're gonna take you next on Aquemini. And I think that again, it's the evolution from ATLians to this. And I think they felt more comfortable in their own skin by this point for their third album.
Absolutely. One of my favorite records from this was Liberation. I just think that record just, I don't know, like it's just to your point. It's like it's just a different vibe. It could be gospel, it could be jazz. It came from left field.
Yeah,
and it was something you heard in rap.
And something that's notable during this time, Andre would get involved with Erykah Badu. And at that point, that's where the trope starts, where if you date Erykah Badu, she's going to start making you dress weird. He was the start of it. Common after that. This is when Andre started wearing the blonde hair wigs. He was the big eyeglasses.
I mean, it was already on the way before that, but
I think she accelerated at that point where he was just kind of doing what he wanted. But the album had a huge controversy. Of course, I mentioned it a couple of seconds ago. Rosa Parks, one of their biggest singles ever. It drew the ire of the civil rights activist herself, and she claimed that her name was used without permission. The case was dismissed in 1999, but an appeal reinstated the case in 2003, stating that OutKast needed an artistic reason for using her name, and they eventually settled in 2005 with OutKast and Arista agreeing that they would create I guess like programs and stuff for kids to learn about Rosa Parks. I don't know if that happened, but what did y'all think about Rosa Parks? That was the song that you couldn't get away from.
Yeah, I mean, just for me, it was a dope song, and the video was dope too. It was just like, what the fuck?
Watch the video now. It's like, no, this is green. They definitely deserve to get sued for this shit.
I mean, it's like when you're a public figure, you're a public figure.
Yeah,
your story is gonna be interpreted in different ways, and people are gonna kind of latch on to it. But yeah, it's funny. I'm glad they settled. I don't know what they settled for, but hey,
she just wanted some money. I feel like I'm not gonna lie, bro.
I mean, I would too.
They were the biggest group at the time. Fucking break Rosa Parks off a little bit. But I mean, I think that that was like the big single. But what I loved about it was that they had that one single for everybody. Every other single on the album was for just straight hip hop heads. Like it was like nothing but straight hip hop. Art of Storytelling, Skewed on the Barbie. All of those songs were like not traditional singles at that point, especially where we were at in rap with the Shiny Suit era.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like they were always able to serve the masses, but still be themselves.
Right.
And that's something that was very tricky for artists, always. And they towed that line really well.
Rosa Parks was really the first time I had started seeing OutKast on like TRL at that point. That was really the first time you kind of saw them kind of breaking through Yo MTV Raps and then getting into like the mainstream part of MTV. And this would continue 2 years later with the release of Stankonia, which one of the best hip hop albums of all time to me.
Okay.
I put this over Speakerboxxx Low Below also.
Ooh, okay.
I put it over it. Released on Halloween Day in the year 2000, which is crazy.
Yeah.
One of the best covers of hip hop history too.
I definitely love the cover.
The cover is amazing.
Love the cover.
The cover is incredible. You look at that album and you're like, yo, what is this? Again, the Andre doing this. He was on his Jimi Hendrix shit, man. He again, like it was the vibe there, the black and white American flag. Again, them kind of turning what the American dream was on its head. But also Stankonia was, to me, a lot more traditional than people think. Like it wasn't, they weren't doing wild shit sonically on there. It was a straight hip hop.
I look at like, I don't know, Bombs Over Baghdad is a wild song. Wild song.
It's like a dance track. It's like a
it's like a ravey kind of like, it very much reminds me of like what was going on in that time, 2000s. Like it was just, I think of it as almost like video game movie music.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what's the movie I'm thinking of? Hackers or some shit. Like it's like shit's happening fast, rollerblading.
The Matrix was out at that point.
Matrix is actually a really good, a better one. It's like that type of vibe.
Yeah.
But no. Classic album, Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson showed me that like Rosa Parks wasn't a fluke.
Right.
And that these guys could write really good songs for the masses.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, So Fresh, So Clean, another one. It's like, damn. Like,
that was back to back. That was So Fresh, So Clean, Miss Jackson, B.O.B. 3 of the best hip hop singles ever.
On the same album. It's crazy.
Same album, damn near back to back. I think B.O.B. is like the furthest song. I think it's like toward the end of the album there. It's like an hour, 30-minute album too. But again, this was one of the best reviewed hip hop albums of all time. It has a 95 on Metacritic.
That's
which
crazy.
Is insane. It got perfect scores all around from that point. Sold over 500K copies in the first week, but it was number 2. Guess who beat them that week?
Who?
Jay-Z, The Dynasty.
Hey, man.
By like,
how about The Dynasty?
By like 40K copies. I was like, but that was back in the day when big hip hop albums, they wasn't pushing shit back. They were just dropping them all in one day.
How about The Dynasty? So yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Like they wasn't like nowadays. I look at like the release calendar and it's like, okay, this person's gonna drop this day and I'll drop a single that day. There's never like, all right, OutKast, Drake, Kendrick, Jay-Z all gonna drop on the same day and they all gonna be cool with it. Now it's like it's so much different now.
Which is crazy because it's like now fans have the better chance of listening to them all.
Exactly.
In the streaming era. But yeah, artists definitely move out the way for each other nowadays.
Like imagine a day where you get the Nicki album, J. Cole album, and I don't know, like a Gunna or some album on the same day. And it's like it's not like people have to choose with their wallets anymore. They just go into the app. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same thing anymore. So like looking at that, but then seeing hip hop on the number 1 and number 2 spots, they was beating like established rock artists at the time with these releases. And I thought that like just looking that up was like cool because like OutKast did like 534 and Jay did like 570.
Oh shit!
And I was like, yo, they both went gold on the same week. And I feel like the Dynasty was kind of later usually than Jay usually drops, because he dropped Blueprint like right that next September.
Yeah, because Dynasty was like a compilation, so it was like they kind of just pushed that out.
OutKast had always been popular, but this was the moment that they became not just a household name, but they became legends after Stankonia. They had like Be Real on it. Mm-hmm. They had so many guests, like big name guests on there, where it was like, yo, we're here. But again, like I just named Be Real. Who was asking for a Be Real feature at that point other than OutKast?
I don't know. It was a lot of random features on this album. I think Gangsta Boo was on here.
Yeah.
Erica came on here again.
I'll call before I come. Like there was a lot, and again, sonically, the album was traditional in some ways, but then also still groovy. Like So Fresh, So Clean. We didn't even touch on that. Like another amazing video, by the way. Mm-hmm. We think of the Miss Jackson video, of course, on the farm and shit like that. Andre makes sure to let people know that it wasn't about that it was about Erykah Badu's mom and not about anybody else. He also mentions on Blood Below that I forgot this part that Tyrone wasn't about him. I was like, yeah, Tyrone came out like way before they started dating.
He just I don't know. It's like it's funny how he always addresses the rumors.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad he doesn't rap anymore, because I feel like he's so tapped in himself that he's not going to let anything fly over his head. He's always has to address it.
Yeah.
Even I think nowadays when you see him talking about the flute and like how he wants to rap, like the titles to the flute songs, like I want to make a rap album, but this is where the wind took me.
Yeah.
It's like he's addressing it without really addressing it, but like it's hard for him to just let those things slide.
So after Stankonia, which again, worldwide acclaim, wins them awards all over, best rap album on I think 3 or 4 different publications at that year. I think it was like number 90 or something on Rolling Stone's best albums of all time, 500 best albums of all time.
Interesting.
Stankonia, they were pretty much like kind of doing their own thing. Their next album was kind of like take them in different places. But what we didn't know at the time was that their next album would be kind of the slow breakup of one of rap's most quickly rising stars ever. Andre, freshly separated from Erykah, he moved to LA from Atlanta, and he wanted to be an actor. And if you remember this time, he was in like Get Cool, and he was on The Shield at that time on FX and stuff like that. He did a couple acting gigs. But while there, he learned how to use Pro Tools, and he created a slew of demos that he called experiments. And these experiments would become the skeleton of what we would now know as the Love Below. So for this next album, the group chose to combine their different ways of recording, their sounds, and where they were in life into a double album, where Big Boy created Speakerboxxx and Andre's demos became the Love Below. And what we got is one of the best hip hop albums of all time, and an audio representation of a group that was largely growing apart at that time also.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great way to symbolize that.
Yeah.
I think, more often we need to have I mean, I'm thinking about the last time I've seen something like that, and it's probably like fucking Ray Shrummer's album. So it's not a great example at all.
Life 3.
Yeah. But yeah, like artists, groups especially, they go through changes and phases, and like for them to be like, hey, we're gonna make these separate albums, but feature each other on each and bring them together. I think it was just a selfless move by Andre, because he could have obviously went and did some solo shit.
But want to get out that contract. Come on, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, and even does he? Like, honestly, that's another thing. That's what I'm saying. Like with rap, like he still signed to Epic. His Flute album came out on Epic.
So wow,
like,
did it?
Yeah. So it's like I don't really think he's thinking about getting out of contracts and all this stuff. He's just like, I'm creating art, and this is how I'm doing it. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was just a creative way to do it. I loved it. I think just the lead up to it. You were hearing the rumors of the breakup, but it was just like, okay, like it addressed the rumor.
Yeah.
In a creative way.
It addressed it, Josh, but as we'll get to, I feel like there was one person that was trying to address it and the other person wasn't trying to talk about it at all. I feel.
I mean, well, we can get into it.
So usually when we do this on ThrowBLKs, we go track by track. However, with these 2 albums, there's a lot of tracks. And there's no way we'll be able to break down every song one by one. So I want to discuss them through the themes, through the sound, the legacy, and the reception, and then kind of the end of OutKast at that point. And that kind of weird moment right after the album came out. So I want to first talk about the album's themes and start with Speakerboxxx. Speakerboxxx to me, and there was an article in The Ringer last year where Paul Thompson, writer, he talked about kind of the onus and the creation and the reception and stuff to OutKast. And he talked to several sources about it. And one of the sources talked about how Big Boi worked as an artist compared to Andre. And they would say Big Boi would go into the studio like it was a 9 to 5. He'd clock in, do his verses, clock out, and he's out. Andre was more methodical and he thought about things and it took him longer to do these things. Whereas Big Boi came a lot easier. Yeah. So you see like in Speakerboxxx, I almost feel like he was trying to prove something to people. Because at that point, the conversation was already like Andre 3000 is the best rapper of all time.
Yeah.
Like that's where it was. And we kind of touched on it a little bit maybe 10, 20 minutes ago where it was like not many people talk about the dual aspect, but to be clear and more narrow about that, not many people talk about the Big Boi aspect.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's like that Big Boi Speakerboxxx album is really fucking good.
It's really good. Yeah.
We start the show with a song like Unhappy and I'm like, yo, that's a great song. And like to my previous point about writing good songs like So Fresh, So Clean and Miss Jackson and Rosa Parks, this is in the same vein as that. And you see a lot more of that on Speakerboxxx.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about, breaking up with his baby's moms and his relationship with women and fighting and religion and all of these things that have been touched on before. But it felt like he was watching like a blaxploitation movie before he made this because it's very seeped into that old school. Like he went back to Southern playalistic there, where with the whole theme of pimps, gangsters, thugs, all of that, but also with his social life involved in that. And I think that theme is like so layered in a lot of ways because it wasn't just talking about his life; it was talking about his relationship with his best friend, who was featured all over. I think isn't Andre on this more than Big Boi is on Love Below? Like
absolutely.
Big Boi's only on one song. Andre's like, let's put this in perspective. You do not hear Big Boi on Speakerboxxx until about 5 or 6 minutes into the actual album.
I think it's only on there once.
Well, Andre?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
Benjamin. I'm talking about
Big Boi.
Big Boi on Love Below.
He's on Roses, and that's it. Andre is the first person you hear on Speakerboxxx on Ghetto Music, and he has a verse, and then Big Boi starts to rap. It's like, again, like we talk about selflessness, but it's like, to me, I gotta put a lot in the sand, and I feel like Big Boi was more selfless. Like I feel like he was still giving Andre a lot. Like he's on several songs on this joint.
But I also feel like it's like, I don't want to think of it as like giving a lot. I think it's just like Andre, like the album Andre created was an album that wasn't, like, to your point, it wasn't a 9 to 5 album.
Right.
It wasn't an album like that's an album you're writing in your sleep, damn near. You coming up out of your sleep and writing songs and thinking about this shit.
Yeah.
Whereas Big Boi is like, I'm making this song. Oh, this is where I think Andre fits. All right, let me save this for him. Let me do this for him. And I think that was kind of just the difference in how the album sounds sonically. But I that's why I say that I think Andre is a little more selfless with it because these are all very personal songs.
Right.
Very personal fucking album. Me personally, I probably wouldn't even attach this to something like Speakerboxxx because it's so personal.
Yeah.
But it's like, just to be able to attach it to it and have songs like Roses and Hey the big fucking songs.
Yeah.
Like those is like the biggest songs in
Big
the world.
Boi gets credit for that too because it's not Andre 3000 in the bill.
Yeah,
it's both of them.
Yeah. So it's like selflessness. I'm giving you one of the biggest songs ever. Hey Ya is like huge.
Grammy. I think that won them the Grammy.
Bro, Hey Ya is big as fuck. Like to this day.
Yeah.
Anyone knows that song.
You go in Starbucks, you might hear it.
Yeah.
You go in H&M,
that's why I say that selflessness came from Andre. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I totally get it. I think Big Boi wanted to pass the ball more, and Big Boi's he's a group artist. Like, has he done a solo? He's done a couple of solos and a couple of group projects, but like he's at his best when he's with a partner.
Yeah,
I think even with Killer Mike being a partner for a lot of his career, the second half of his career, it's like he's at his best at that point.
Yeah, and he has one of the biggest songs of all time too, with The Way You Move. That's not necessarily with anything with Andre on it.
No, but it
ain't bigger than Hey Ya.
It ain't. Yeah, come on. The Way You Move is big.
Is it not?
That's what I'm saying. The Way You Move is in the same.
I want to look at those numbers.
I don't think it's bigger. Hey, come on. Hey Ya is like multiple times platinum. Way You Move,
Diamond.
My Way You Move might be. Well, you could probably fact check it, but I feel like I heard Hey Ya way more than The Way You Move. I'm gonna be real. I skipped it. That was my skip. If we were doing track by track, yeah, that would have been a skip.
I like The Way You Move.
I'm tired of listening to it.
I feel you, but that's a great song.
Listening to
what?
It. I'm
not tired of listening to Hey Ya?
But you know what? I purposely like tried to avoid Hey Ya, so I had to listen to it again You know what I'm saying? Like, Hey Ya is like the Born in the USA of rap songs, where people think it, like, know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, niggas say like, yeah, born, like they're saying born, but they don't know what it really means. People were talking about Hey Ya not really knowing what the fuck that song was really about. It was about like how everyone's getting divorced and fucking, you know, not in love anymore, and people, you know what I'm saying? And that theme of Hey Ya resonates today, probably even more so. Like, he was thinking in the future about just relationships between young people.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, man, like that album is so futuristic. It's funny. I feel like a lot of people don't give it its credit, man. But I listen to these young cats now
that do the same shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, y'all trying to make the Love Below.
Yeah,
like, and it's crazy. Like,
I feel like Future made the best Love Below clone with Hendrix.
I mean, it's funny because like in the vein, but not even like you. The one reason why I don't compare the two really.
He does the Life of Andre Benjamin at the end with Solo.
Yeah, but the reason why I don't compare him so closely is because like Future is still braggadocious and all his shit.
Yeah,
like I've never seen an artist be as vulnerable as Andre.
Yeah.
Like, I really was like, damn, like, this is like, it's therapy. Like, if you listen to that album, you start to get into your own feelings, like, shit.
Because, like, even when Future does bare his soul, it's still seeped with, I did some lean, too. Yeah. And it's just like, I can't get there.
Yeah, it's like, he has the fog of drugs and hoes, and, you know, it's like, even when Andre talks about fucking bitches, he talks about it in a way that's like, it's like, damn, I have to fuck these bitches on the road. Like, it's like on the Life of Andre Benjamin, he talks about it. He's like,
he bags a lot of chicks on that song in 4 minutes too.
I mean, but you gotta think about it. The life of a rapper at that time, he's probably taking them down.
Especially him, like shit, they won a Source Award. But I think I think and again, Speakerboxxx, to get back to Speakerboxxx, like it touches on all of those issues, but I still think that Big Boy is flying the flag. I said this in our group chat the other day. The most awkward line on that song is from Flip Flop Rock when he's like, me and, you know, what you mean? Me and Dre, we cool. We ain't never breaking up. You see, we just made another album to get more money. Y'all niggas not thinking about it like that. And I'm listening, and then you go back and listen to it now, and 20 years later, it's like, I think he was the only nigga saying that. Boy, everyone knew, because the first thing, Josh, that people thought of, they didn't think of it like you mentioned Ray Shrimmer's third album. When that came out, nobody thought of a breakup. They were just like, oh, they're just trying to find a way to break up the streaming or whatever. With this, the first thing people thought, they're having a split album? Are these niggas about to break up?
But see, it's my thing. Like, and this is why I keep going back to, it's like, it's not really a breakup. It's just a creative difference.
True.
They're still best friends. They're still very much in tune.
You don't think that at that point, Andre didn't answer his calls as much as he used to with Big Boy, and maybe Big Boy didn't call as much as he used to? You don't think that there was just a sense of maybe a little bit of tension?
I can't even call it tension, because I think it's just like Andre just growing out of the relationship as a person. I don't think it was no ill feelings. I think he was just like, damn, like, I'm just tapped into this shit I'm tapped in on. Look at what all the songs are about. Yeah. I'm in love. I'm falling out of love. Like, I'm hurt. I don't even have time for my friends. Like, I'm hurting over here. Yeah. So I think that's what it was more than anything. But yeah, no, I never looked at it as like Andre versus Big Boy.
I mean, I don't even know if it's versus. I think it's like these two are really not rocking with each other, but they're looking at different creative outlets to show that they aren't. And the more I think also listening to it now in the context of that reunion that kind of like was awkward with them a couple years ago. Some of the comments Andre has said since then, Big Boy's relative silence about all of it since then, like it's kind of weird.
I mean, for me, it's just like Andre doesn't want to be a rapper.
True.
That's how I chalk it all down to that. Yeah. And you see it with the flute shit, and you see it with the titles, and you see it, but just how even he's in interviews. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to do this shit.
Yeah.
He probably want to do the interviews, but he's like, damn, I'm putting out an album, I gotta do something. Do it. But it's like he don't want to be in this limelight, and like, you know, I had a conversation with him.
Yeah,
he played the flute album for me. I promise you, Lord bless me, because I don't know how I stayed up for that album. Like, he was like looking at us the whole time playing the album.
He was like
literally, like he's like, he got camera crews in here. So I'm like, if I fall asleep, somebody's gonna catch this shit. So, and like he talked about just his mind state and where he's at. And he was like, man, like, he was like, when he started playing the flute, and this would show me that like it was just a creative difference. It wasn't really a thing. He was like, people will call him. I think he might have said, Big Boy called him.
Yeah.
It was like, man, like, these niggas think you crazy. And he was like, and they laughed about it. Cause he's like, nigga, I'm not crazy. I'm just doing something different. Like, y'all know how, it was almost like you know how I am. I'm just do different shit. I put on the turban. Like I'm just doing, I put on the wig. I'm just doing something. But it's like, niggas think I'm crazy. Like I'm still a nigga. Like I'm still like, I can laugh with my niggas, talk to my niggas. It's just like, I'm just doing something different. And I'm not even ready to present it to the world. Mm-hmm. But when I am, I will. Yeah. And that's just what it is. And I feel like that's what it is with the raps. I would not be surprised if we get a rap album from Andre when he's 50 years old. And it might be more spoken word than rap. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Because like he says it. He says, I go in the studio and try to do it sometimes.
But I wonder what that sounds like.
It probably sounds fucking amazing. But it's not up to his part.
True.
It probably sounds amazing. He probably has some fire raps. Like, for The Love Below, he recorded 120 songs. Yep. Like, where are those songs at? Yeah. Well, imagine what those sound like.
And I mean, going into Love Below, themes of that album, falling in love, falling out of love, but more importantly, the story of the album, there's so many skits on this shit. Yeah. Is God sending him the perfect woman. Yeah. And you see that through Prototype, you see it through Spread, all of that. Actually, the first like 5 or 6 songs carry a plot in a through line. I gotta be real. I appreciate what Love Below is trying to do, but it really does to me sound like a bunch of like demos that are interconnected through the skits, sure. But I think that might be why people love it so much, is that it sounds so rough. Like, and it still does sound rough to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't call it rough. I think, you listen, there's a whole lo-fi genre. It's like, it's lo-fi. That's rough.
It's not lo-fi.
It's not lo-fi though. No, I'm saying, but there's a whole genre of music called lo-fi. Yeah. I think this is very much like he produced it, he wrote it. This is him creating. Yeah. And I think you're gonna get some, especially compared to Speakerboxxx, where it's like crisp. You're hearing like every fucking snare,
trumpets.
Yeah. But it's like, so if you compared it to, it's definitely gonna sound a little bit rougher. But I don't know, man. Like, I think just the songwriting, the thoughtfulness, like Hey Ya doesn't sound rough because
I feel like they recorded that to be a single.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying like that's and that's that goes back to, like, I feel like even Hey Ya probably fits better on Speakerboxxx.
True. Yeah.
Like,
because I mean, again, they sold it as Hey Ya, The Way You Move. They came out at the same time, and then what was Big Boy's second single off of that?
Get On Music, wasn't it?
Was it Get On Music?
I think it was Get On Music. Did it have
a video?
Yeah.
It had Patti LaBelle in it. She was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Funny, Get On Music was on one of the Maddens.
It was. Because the thing is that Hey Ya just overtook the conversation. I would argue that Hey Ya overtook the conversation of the actual Love Below album, because you didn't really hear much about the themes of it until like after.
Well, I mean, you had Roses. Yeah. That was a big record. That had a video.
Great video too.
Yeah. Like that was, I fuck with that. Kanye was in that video, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's another thing about what Andre was doing at that time. You had like Kanye came out around that time. You had Andre. You had Farnsworth Bentley. Yep. You had this preppy college look that was coming in, and they ushered that in.
Yeah,
like,
that was the era.
He ushered that in. Like, even just the skits, the one skit he has with Farnsworth Bentley, or whatever.
Hello, good sir. I hate it too. Hello, good sir. Hello.
Honestly, that's my real big knock on this album.
So many skits.
The accents he's using throughout the album. I'm like, why are you talking like this?
Again, I mean, I appreciate Behold a Lady. That song's great. Yeah. It's very, and I think you and many people like this, because, and I think the reason why I kind of fall off on it is because so much of it sounds like Prince cosplay.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say Prince.
A lot of it, but it's not Purple Rain adjacent. It's not Purple Rain adjacent.
Yeah, I think vocal inflections, but I think sonically it don't have the Prince flavor.
Oh, because he can't play those instruments.
Yeah, but I think it's inspired by Prince.
Yeah,
I think I absolutely. its inspirations are big.
Yeah.
And you think, well, of Andre as an artist throughout his career, hell, he is inspired by Prince.
Like Spread is a Prince song.
Yeah, Spread is. I mean, it's a lot of songs you could say on there. Like shit, Behold the Ladies to a certain degree is a Prince song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't knock it for that.
I also feel like, and again, I like this album. I like it. I really do like it.
But it's not really sounding like it.
Yeah.
The singing's not good. The singing's not good.
The singing's great.
The singing's not good.
I mean, it's like
some say Atlanta. That's
the weird accents. It goes back to the weird accents.
Some say,
but even that's like that. He's not trying to really sing right there. That's like it's like Broadway musical singing.
He thought he was Frank Sinatra.
Nah, he didn't, bro. He was giving the song what it needed at the moment. I don't consider that singing. I
couldn't get with it, bro. I couldn't.
I feel you though.
But again, I like it. You know why I like it? I like it because it's imperfect. It's perfect because it's imperfect to me. Like as a companion piece to Speakerboxxx, it's more of like an addendum and not an addition to me. Like I feel like
I can't call it that.
I feel like Speakerboxxx is the OutKast album that I kind of want it. And Love Below, and the thing is about it is like I feel like RJ 3000 respects my opinion on it because he knew people would think of it that way.
I mean, I'm just saying, going off of listenability, which is my big thing for listening to albums, definitely listen to Love Below more than I listen to Speakerboxxx.
There's no way. This time coming back to it this time, I was like, bro, Unhappy, Bow Tie, Church.
I'm just not in that. Like I'm just like, it just sounds like you going to the players' ball. Every song feels like I need a 3-piece suit to listen to.
I will say, Big Boy was getting off on them cartoon ass beats on Speakerboxxx too. Sometimes life can get you down.
Why did you just make this a Looney Tunes?
So you can hear it. Yes, you can hear that shit on there. Like the production is definitely like, listen. I'm a modern production guy. Like
I feel you.
Like some of the shit he was rapping over, I'm like the what's it? 2 on the boom.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I actually really like that beat, but I'm also like, come on, man. Like
it was like put on the first demo you hear and let's rap over it. Like he was like he heard him make the drums. He was all right. Stop right there. We're just gonna rap over this shit, and it's just in a constant loop. But it's like that's how they used to do it in the old albums too. So it was like I fucked with it, but I will say. Love Below has the and again we said we just said Speakerboxxx was crisp, you know what I mean? But like again they kind of they compliment each other. Yeah,
well.
like, yeah, they compliment
very
each
well.
other.
I think for me, I go back and listen to Love Below more, but it's because I think those songs are more timeless.
You just said you like Way You Move.
Oh that no, Way You Move is a timeless record. That's one. But I'm saying I just think the Love Below songs are more timeless. Like She Lives in My Lap,
Baby I Love You. I'm like
Dracula's Wedding. Like those are songs that I'm going to listen to forever and be like, oh, this is great fucking music. Like in any era, that's a great song.
You know what kills me though?
What?
That last half of Love Below. Where I'm like, nigga, wrap it up.
But no, see, that's the thing. It's like I feel I know what you're gonna say because it's like you have like you got My Favorite Thing.
Yes,
but I love My Favorite Things because that's like I'm trying to think of an artist that does that today where it's like just an instrumental song.
From Toro Imoy.
Yeah, but even a rap artist, you might get Drake where he has just like fucking Yabba singing some shit. Like it's like that's what that feels like to me. It's like I'm not gonna rap. I'm gonna let this person come in, or I'm gonna just do this. And I don't know, it's like My Favorite Things is like one of them songs I'm like another one of those like Matrix Key type songs. Like seems like I should be running fast through like a wind tunnel when I listen to that. But I just like what he did there. I'm like, okay, like you interpreted that song in your way and you put it in that album in a cool way.
Crazy how much just think about how much they had to fucking pay to use that sample.
Well, it's like an interpolation, so it's like you kind of
like the techno beatnik type version. But I mean, you got that. The Norah Jones song. Which
I like Take Off Your Cool.
Didn't age well to me.
I like it,
nigga,
though.
Rap it up. I'm like, rap it up. Get to the rapping part. I was like, I know he rap on here.
I know what you mean.
Like, I know he got another rap song.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Like, that's such a, like, when I hear Take Off Your Cool, Norah Jones, I think about Drake and Yabba. Yeah. Or like when rappers go and get the folky singer to come and do their thing real quick. Like, there's no, without Take Off Your Cool, and I know that we haven't had the best review of this album. There's no Yachty rock album.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, when you see that happen, it's like, oh, that's a direct correlation to that.
Yeah, true. That's true. I mean, and then, and again, I respect listen, he takes big swings.
Rosario Dawson on the song.
Yeah, I don't like the way she recorded in the song, though.
I like it.
Baby, I love you. I don't care about what any of them say.
That was you know what? I just realized the other year that's not Beyonce on Where Are My Panties? For 20 years, I thought that was Beyonce.
Never thought that. Why did you think that?
Why'd you think that?
That doesn't sound like Beyonce to y'all?
No,
not at all.
Not even a small piece that don't sound like Beyonce?
Mm-mm.
She would have had to read that.
Chill out. Anyway.
Oh, you know what?
Anyway.
I'm leaving before he gets us in trouble.
Who is it?
Back to Take Off Your Cool. Rosario Dawson. You know what it is, too? I think about the Rosario Dawson thing I like because I think about, I mean, we keep going back to Drake, but the skit he had about the plane with the girl, and she's like, oh, I just, there's all these first class
seats.
Yeah.
It's
like, that's terrible.
Yeah. I hate that skit.
Whatever that is, that's terrible.
I hate that skit too.
Yeah, this is way better than that.
And
this is trying to be that.
It's an immediate skip when I hear that girl on that fucking song. It's an immediate skip.
I don't know. But
again, you got that, but then you'll get Day in the Life of Andre Benjamin, which I think is the most. And the thing is, like, that was the last time we heard that motherfucker rap for a while.
Yeah.
After that,
probably to like walk it out or some shit.
Exactly. Like, and then they did the Idlewild thing, which we'll get to later. But it was like there were just so much of, and I'll say this about Love Below. He didn't
finish it either.
Yeah, he didn't finish it, and I don't know if we'll ever fucking get to the end of that song. It might have some new shit to say on the song. Also, he talks about like how he met Erica and how that broke up and how they were cool with each other, which again, like, is really awesome. I mean, they're still cool to this day. But I think that Love Below was getting something off his chest, and that was that part of his life in a lot of ways where he just wanted to do that. So it was like, again, the two themes are really divergent from, like, Big Boy was longevity. We're gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
And Andre's was like, I'm only gonna be here for this, and I'll see you later. And I think that's the most interesting part of it is like we're listening to a breakup album in so many ways. And I think, listening to it in 2024 ears, knowing what happened to these two makes it a lot more depressing, makes it a lot more sad to me.
Real quick, do you think that you could navigate that easily? If you were in a situation with your friend where you guys have created so many amazing things to a lot of people and you are still connected to it in one space and one person's mind is just
not there,
kind of checked out, like already gone. Do you think you can navigate that easily? Because Josh had talked about, from an artist perspective, creative differences. Creative differences happen all the time. I would say from solo artists, groups, duos in this case. But would it be easy to, just from a friend perspective, to be like, wow, I'm still kind of here and you are mentally just out of it? Could you respect it from that case? Or is it kind of tough to want to still, feed a lot of the people that love your music? As
you get older, it's easier to do that, I think. Like, easier to be like, okay, we're not, we grew apart, we're not friends anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think we all go through that now. What I think of it within like a musical sense, a rap sense, we've had many breakups. But to me, none have been bigger than like this one, Rockefeller, and probably like Migos. Like, those are like three breakups that are like, again, these three things shaped and shook up the world in a lot of different ways. Like, OutKast shook up the world, Rockefeller shook up the world, and we got to see it play out publicly in a way that like we didn't really see this one. Like, I feel like the OutKast breakup was so silent, but I feel like it was realistic in that way because usually when you fall out with somebody, it is quiet. It is slow. It is sometimes painful, but it's not public. And I think that this is probably the most realistic breakup than all of them because it wasn't played out in the news. And I again, like, as you said, like, could I handle it? I think I got to be in their mindset. I think you would have to be in their mindset, like what they've been through. I think that and I was going to mention this earlier, like, I get it. These two have been together and linked since they were 16 years old. They were the biggest rap group at like 18, and they were in their 30s at this point. They needed time to figure out who the fuck they were.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I accept it a little bit more, even listening to it now. Whereas Big Boy is the one friend who don't want to let it go. But Andre is the one who kind of matured past it, and I think that's the most realistic part to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think, the OutKast's breakup, I hate to even call it a breakup.
Mm.
I just think it was just one person stopping. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
and we see it in just his interactions and just what he's done and what he's done since.
Yeah,
and you see where Big Boy's continue to keep going and doing all the things he's done. So it's like, I hate to call it a breakup. I think it's just one person just stopping and another person carrying the torch.
Right.
And I feel like the way that Josh brought up how different Andre can approach a lot of these things. He brought up the 200 records that he released on top of that. I didn't know there were 200 records that were recorded for the Love Below, but it almost sounds, as you brought up Prince and you brought up Purple Rain, it almost sounds like Sign of the Time wise, where he had so many records that he was sitting on. He wanted to drop Crystal Ball in the 80s. Label told him no, he didn't want to do it, so he had to create Sign of the Time to make it a fucking 3-disc out of the music that he had. And it's interesting how those similarities almost show its way, especially in that Ringer article that you brought up. Mm-hmm. There was a moment that Prince is at 2014 Coachella. That would have been OutKast's first performance in a very, very long time, because we don't see them again, at least that close, until 2006. And Prince wasn't happy. Like, it looks like for the most part, Andre is just mulling around, doing his hits and his records at the time, but not really interested in it. While Big Boy, more than likely, I haven't seen that 2014 Coachella performance in a while.
He was hyped. He was hyped.
Getting ready.
He was
hyped.
hyped.
Exactly. Just selling it, giving it in, and one person is just like mulling around. And I think the article references, Prince and Paul McCartney walked up to him, gave him a little talk, and was like, "Yo, it's either you're into this or you're not. Mm-hmm. Like, it's unfair for the second half of this group to be ready to sell it, hopefully anticipating new music, getting ready to do this again." Mm-hmm. Big Boy ends up, especially after 2014, he does not only more solo records, he does Big Grams, the thing that he did with Fantogram. He's experimenting as well, doing his own thing. And one person is just not giving their half of this iconic duo. The last few years that we got from Prince with that said it was like, it's kind of unfair.
I think that, and again, that Ringer article, if you guys haven't read it, is fantastic, because it really breaks down Andre, like literally the slow breakup of this group. But is there a sense that you guys feel like Big Boy was fighting against the fucking wind at this point, fighting against a heavy wave where it's just like, I still exist, I'm still here, like Sir Lucius Left Foot, all of this stuff? Like, I don't think Andre's on any of these projects that he does afterwards, like at all.
No, I mean, I don't even expect him to be.
Yeah,
it's like, he don't want to rap. What, you gonna make him rap?
I think they tried it once with like Royal Flush. Royal Flush came out like 2009. Yeah. Like, all right, we back. And then that was it.
Well, I mean, we could touch on Idlewild too, because it was such a minor release. Yeah. Like, Idlewild was a movie that, even when at the movie, it's Purple Rain adjacent, by the way.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of the music that was recorded for Love Below is in Idlewild.
Yeah, it was. Like, I mean, but then you get like really cool stuff like Hollywood Divorce, where it was like you got one of Lil Wayne's like most kind of like notable verses. I feel like a lot of people forget about his verse on Hollywood Divorce. That was back in the day when people was like, who had the best verse though? And it's like, nobody really does that anymore. It's like, who killed who? It's just like, we didn't kill Andre 3000, and I'm like, I mean, can we just enjoy the song? Like, go back and listen to Hollywood Divorce if you haven't. But it was such a minor release. But that, I mean, I consider this their final album, Speakerboxxx Love Below, not Idlewild, because it just was so, like Morris Brown, Mighty O. It's like, these sound like demos.
It's a good thing that Big Boy, helped a little bit with that and dropped that same year, got Perp Volume 2, because that introduced us to not only a lot of different sounds, brings back more Dungeon Family, introduced us to artists like Janelle Monáe, and he creates the second wave of what is going on with Dungeon Family in that case, while he's just wondering what Andre's doing. And at a certain aspect, it's just like, wow, there's a lot of different instances where you could look at, and it's like, wow, Big Boy's being just left out in the cold here. And thankfully, he's been able to take it with such stride and not have that, spill out with a bad quote in the press, anything like that. And he's kept it pretty cordial.
He's been relatively quiet for years about
he doesn't want to do this. That's why the thought that he's leaving him out in the cold is just like, I think.
You don't think that?
I just think he just doesn't want to do this.
I think that Big Boy's.
If I don't want to rap and I don't want to be a part of the music industry, I'm just gonna stop doing it.
I think Big Boy is one of the most disrespected like rappers, like, because he was like, think about it this way: he was a member of one of the biggest rap duos of all time, right? One of them, who everyone says he's better, like is better than him. He's like clearly like the Marty Jannetty of it, even though he's still like fucking. He's still talented in his own right. He leaves. Everybody leaves with Andre and says, "Oh, Andre 3000 is the best rapper in the world." Never has a solo album. Big Boy has several solo albums, and they still consider Andre better. Like, I feel like Big Boy has been like not fighting for relevancy, but fighting for people to like be like, "Hey, I was in the group." too.
I mean, maybe that's his fight with the public and perception, but I don't think that's his fight with Andre. Andre don't want to rap no more. It's not so because I don't want to do something.
Yeah.
That means I'm leaving you out in the cold. Like I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
I resent,
but our friendship is different though. Our friendship
they're
is clearly
still friends.
different.
They still talk.
They're still friends. They're probably not as close as they used to be.
Yeah, but I mean
like,
that's just how you grow older. You got kids.
I think that I resent the idea that the reason I resent the idea that Andre is like top 10 of all time is because the only proof of purchase there is Love Below. That's the only reason I resent it.
I hear you, but
because his other verses were on duo albums.
I hear you, but if they're good verses, they're good verses.
Of course, yeah.
I can still put Andre top 10 because you put Big B.I.G. top 5 and he only got 2 albums.
But that's one more album that Andre got, and that's one more album with more rapping than Andre got.
I mean, if you was to take all the verses that Big has and all the verses Andre has, might be close as far as like output. I
mean, I resent it. You know why else I resent it is because I feel like Eminem started this wave of people just hopping on that trend and saying that he was the greatest of all time.
I mean, I don't know. Was Eminem the first to say it?
Yeah, I like publicly like that because remember on Till I Collapse, Till I Collapse, he says it goes Biggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, and Biggie.
No, Reggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, and Biggie. Yeah,
and Andre from OutKast, Jada Corrupt, Nas, and then me. And then when he said Andre from OutKast, everybody was like, Andre from OutKast? And it made so many people go back and listen to like OutKast records.
I mean, I guess that's the power of a white rapper.
That's what I'm saying. I resent that idea because Big Boy's cold as fuck. Like he's dope.
Yeah, he's cold. But even when I was listening to that shit back in the day, I was not saying Big Boy's better than Andre. I'm sorry.
Southern Playalistic. I think Big Boy got him. ATLians, it feels even to me. I gotta really listen to Equimini in a deeper value.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna just keep it at that.
I think Stakeonia is when Andre started to take off. In my opinion,
I think it was ATLians. Southern Playalistic, I'll give it to him. They was neck and neck. ATLians, you was seeing the separation.
Oh no, man!
You was seeing the separation. It's like fucking.
He taught him how to rap.
I mean, to me, it's like, and this is a little bit different, but still the same. It's like Ghetto Boys.
Okay,
Willie D's great. Scarface is light years.
Willie D is terrible.
He's not terrible. He's great. He's all right.
Here's the thing. I respect him because he got anthems. He got like verses that was just like, all right, yeah, we could rock with it because the nigga was offbeat more than 80% of the time.
I mean, shit, it was the 80s. Everybody's offbeat. Who was on beat?
I'm gonna get killed by like Dion. Shout out to Dion. He's gonna fucking kill me.
I even think about it in the sense of like UGK.
Okay.
Like, I used to always love Pimp C.
But I mean, Bun was always like clearly like.
Yeah, Bun was a good rapper, but Pimp C was a good rapper too. More charismatic.
Yeah, it was the delivery with Pimp. It was always the delivery. I'm trying to find Andre 3000 guest verses like in order.
In those mid 2000s.
Yeah, because I want to talk about. I want to see what our favorite ones are because he stops here. He stops after Idlewild, doesn't rap for a while. He returned to rapping in 2007, and he did Walk It Out, Throw Some D's, Lloyd's You, and Jay-Z's 30-something, all within that year. And people thought he was gearing up for a solo album, but he didn't. He never dropped one. Out of those, what was the best one?
Wait, what was it? Walk It Out?
Walk It Out, Throw Some D's, You, and 30-something.
I like Throw Some D's.
Throw Some D's was good.
I like You was cool too. It definitely wasn't 30-something.
No, I don't even remember 30-something. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I remember.
30-something, Jay-Z, Kingdom Come. It was such an eye roll. When I was 15 years old listening to 30-something, I was like, Jay, what the fuck is this?
30 will never be cool.
The U verse wasn't bad either, but I think it's Throw Some D's.
And then we had International Players Anthem, which I think a lot of people would consider probably his best.
Yeah.
One of his best verses
ever.
Yeah, like ever. Royal Flush. I forgot about Devin the Dude's What a Job.
Oh yeah, that's another great.
That was a good record.
That was a great record. He was on Q-Tips, The Renaissance. He was on Green Light. Forgot about that too.
Oh yeah,
because I only listen to.
You know what? I remember that because they play that. They probably still play that to this day on the radio.
Yeah,
his verse.
Yeah,
yeah, he killed that.
What else? He was on the remix to Sierra's Ride. I forgot about that shit too. He was just doing whatever.
I feel like those was a lot of like L.A. Reid favors.
Who linked them? I was just like, who called them and said, Andre, we got this?
I think wasn't Sierra signed to L.A. Reid?
No, right? She was what was she signed to? She was on Uptown Republic 88 Epic Drive. Oh yeah, she was. Okay. LaFace, sure enough.
Yeah.
He was on a remix to Deuces. He was on Kesha's The Sleazy remix.
He was on Deuces. He killed Deuces too.
He did.
He killed Deuces. That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's my another thing about him being the best rapper. Like after it was kind of like said, he would come and give you some verses or some places that you wouldn't expect a verse from him. Yeah. And it would be like, damn, this nigga's really good.
He was on a 2011. Well, actually, he was supposed to be on.
He was on Take Care.
He was supposed to be on Sir Lucius Left Foot, and it was blocked by Jive Records, which is odd.
That's very odd.
He was on Beyonce's 4th album on Party, of course.
Yep. Another great verse.
He was on Lloyd's Dedication to My Ex. I don't remember that one.
Me neither.
He was, of course, we talked about him on Carter 4.
Oh yeah,
classic verse, classic album. You know, dropped that one. We were unfair to Carter 4. Let me just say that. He was on The Real Her, which again is full circle with Drake. He was on The Real Her. I thought that, and again, when that came out, there was a lot of hype behind that verse because we found out that night that it leaked that he was on it. Mm-hmm. And then because like Drake didn't announce it officially that Andre was on it, then we saw it there. He was on B.O.B. to play the guitar. I heard that. I remember listening to that. B.O.B. was supposed to be the next Andre 3000. But he was a little bit too heavy-handed with the.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
He was too heavy-handed
with the pop hits.
That's the first nigga that ever really got canceled for believing in a flat Earth. Let me just say that when the nigga came out and said the Earth is flat, niggas stopped fucking with him immediately. He stopped getting calls ASAP.
That's a nigga that has a Taylor Swift feature very early. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like in rap.
Yep. And I mean, he don't gotta rap anymore. Pretty much. 2012, he was on Jeezy and Jeezy's Ideal with Jay-Z.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I'm good on that one. And then he was on the Gorillaz. He was on Channel Orange.
Some of his best verses were with Frank Ocean.
Yeah, that is true.
I will say.
He was on
Blonde. He was on Blonde too. This and Drake. That's why I was confused. I was like, yo, you were on his record 5 years ago.
What did he say about Drake again? What did he say about him again?
He had some line about, I'm sorry, I thought all the rappers were writing their own verses or something like that. It was right around the time of the Meek Drake beef.
Brother.
I'm so over like, just because a rapper is speaking.
That's a diss.
It's not a diss.
That stinks.
That's not a diss. But all right.
He wasn't writing his own verses. That was the crazy part.
Yeah, he was.
Not back in the day, he wasn't.
Who was writing his verses?
Big Boy was. He said it. He admitted it. Okay. He did.
I don't think it's a diss. I don't think Big Boy is writing his verses. I would like to fact check that.
Big Boy said it. Why would he lie?
You just said what you said.
Oh my
nigga God. Feel disrespected.
No, but then you said he did. But then you said he didn't feel disrespect. Hey, Josh,
saying shit.
You twist the narrative.
I'm not twisting. I'm just saying. Y'all saying he feels disrespected. He got a partner that's relatively silent.
Oh my God.
Might let him ride with a lie or two.
I think the most eye-opening and soul-bearing is his verse on T.I.'s Forgotten. Hustle Man or Trouble Man Heavy as they had the song Sorry, where he basically apologizes to the fans for not coming out with an album. And it was like a 30-something, 40-something bar verse where he was just talking about where his mind was and why he never dropped the album. I actually think that is one of his best verses because T.I. just kind of lets him go. and he raps for about a good 3 minutes on that one.
Same year he was on God Forgives I Don't, right? 16?
Yep,
16 was the record he was on? Yeah.
16 was another one where he dropped like 60 bars and Ross was happy as a motherfucker. He was like, let's just
it went crazy.
But Ross was like, look at me, nigga. Ross was so fucking happy. He let the song play for another 3 minutes. That shit. Like, I like the 16 verse. I'll give you that. I think God Forgives I Don't. I want to talk about that album one day. What a strange era in Rick Ross's career.
Yeah.
I know we talked about deeper in the rap, but like we all know what God Forgives I Don't was supposed to be. But he was they saw him in the studio with Michael Will in 2013, and then he was on Honest, on Future's Honest, on Ben's Friends, Wichitola. It was a fine song. I feel like they overhyped the Ben's Friends shit.
It was cool. It was just
these guys don't mean shit. These guys don't mean shit. Whoa.
Honest turning 10 pretty soon, right? Let me take a look.
Wow. Do we talk about it? Honest turns 10 this year. This fall. Yeah, this fall, like September.
Honest turns 10 in is it September?
I think so.
Take a look. It's April 22nd, 2014.
We might have to do Honest this year. That was a turning point. That album was a turning point. But yeah, I mean, he does a lot of verses. You know what I mean? And I think the legacy of Speakerboxxx Love Below made it so that he never really had to make an album. I'll just be real. Like, people love that album so much that he doesn't have to. And we see with the reception, it won Record of the Year or Album of the Year on the Grammys. I think one of the first. Was it the only hip hop album that's ever done that still?
The other hip hop album was Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Oh yeah. So there's only two.
That's
two.
Crazy.
And still to this day, that's the only thing that's happened. I personally thought that Kendrick should have got it for the Pimp a Butterfly a couple years ago.
Wait, who got it in 7? Did Macklemore get it in 7?
I think so.
That's a rap album.
No, I mean, he won Best Rap Album, not Album of the Year.
No, it wasn't Album of the Year. No, it wasn't Album of the Year.
I think Dan probably was closest to getting it, but I think Taylor came out that year too, or Adele. One of them came out. They always block him whenever they come out. I think Taylor's probably going to block whoever does it again. But I mean, we get to the end of OutKast. Of course, they reunited 10 years after this for Coachella and a couple of spot dates at festivals. As Mark mentioned, Andre looked like he would rather be anywhere but there. And from there, we get a bunch of verses and we get the Flute album. And to this day, 20 years later, Speakerboxxx Love Below it stands the test of time. I will say, as being a strange, awkward moment for these two, but ultimately something that gave us a classic. Yeah. And I mean, you can't take it away from either of them. I think it's a perfect album. Even with my apprehension about the Love Below, it's still, again, perfect in its imperfections. It's like an artist trying to find himself and also saying goodbye to a profession that he really loved. So, any last thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said in the opening statement, I feel like this album set the template for a lot of, and not even just rap albums. You look at what Frank Ocean's doing to a certain degree, very Love Below inspired. So I think that's why this album's held in high regard to me. And I love the Speakerboxxx portion of it too. I think there's a lot of great music there, and it's the best balance to this. I think if one that comes solo, they wouldn't be as impactful as they are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I feel like it just needs to be a little more respected around both projects. I think we tend to forget we live in this like fast-paced society where music is just kind of just thrown out, and you got someone like Drake who's the biggest artist now, so we think everything starts with Drake and goes on forward, but it's like, nah, this artist who influenced him, and yeah, I think we just need to kind of bow our heads, and not bow our heads, but tip our hats to Andre and Big Boy, and just give them their flowers, man. I think they are the greatest rap duo ever. Yeah. And it's not even an argument at this point.
It's not close. It's not even close. I think, and this might be a hot take, if this album came out today, we'll win Album of the Year again.
Oh, absolutely. That's another thing. It's like, it's timeless. Yeah. It's really a timeless album. And it's like, it's crazy that they were able to make that at that time. I think you weren't getting a ton of timeless music around then. Nope. You look at a lot of music that came out that same
50,
year.
We had 50.
I was going to say 50 is 50, but 50 sounds a little dated. Get Rich sounds a little parts of it. You're like, huh? Like that.
Heat.
Yeah, you feel it's like certain songs. That's
don't do it. Heat. Whoa.
Yeah, Heat.
I don't know. I just certain songs that sounded a little dated.
What the fuck hoodie was he wearing at that Boston Rockets game?
The fuck was that?
All the TV channels he's on.
Yeah, take that monkey shit off, man. You embarrassing us.
Oh man.
But yeah, that is Speakerboxxx Love Below for ThrowBLKs. We're gonna make a list. I want to make a list of every album that we should touch on this year. A lot of people want to see us do another rock album. They really love the Green Day album, and they want to see us do another one. Green Day episodes were my favorites because we were like literally like spitting bars from Billy Joe Armstrong, like it was like Jay-Z. But we're gonna make a list. We'll share that out to you guys on Patreon. But thank you guys for listening to ThrowBLKs. We'll be back next month. Back on schedule for February. What's like a good like love? Should we do R&B finally?
Oh, we go R&B.
I thought we were doing confessions. Next.
Oh yeah,
Confessions,
Super Bowl. Yeah, we'll do confessions next time. That album has so many theories and so many.
Great album.
Who is it about?
We gotta do deluxe version too. They have the Shine verse.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Again, going from one like Diamond album to another Diamond album into confessions. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you guys next month for Usher Confessions. I think let's just stamp it. Usher Confessions. We're gonna do it. So next month, Usher Confessions. We'll be back at you with another episode of Black Print as well. And thank you guys for listening. For Josh and MC, I'm J5. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. Peace.